Found footage, a genre that I have to admit to enjoying. It's still in its infancy despite already being close to having overstayed its welcome. It's a good way to put the audiences front and centre of the story and see the picture unfold in the eyes of the movie's protagonist. It's a subgenre usually linked to horror but comes with its own difficulties and limitations when it comes to the art of storytelling. Creep, directed by Patrick Brice, is an independent movie from 2014 that makes a clever move to strip the genre from all conventional horror elements that seem to have been adopted by the new style. Gone are the cheap CGI effects and shaky violence provided by the likes of VHS, and any sort of budget is not visible on screen. This isn't Cloverfield, nor does it try to be, so let's have a look.
You ready for this?
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go get the tub.
A videographer strapped for cash sees an ad on the internet offering $1,000 for a day's work. All he has to do is turn up with a camera and be discreet about what he'll be doing that day. Seems like the easiest $1,000 you could ask for. Just turn up in the middle of nowhere and meet this stranger with no idea about who he is or what will come next. As a man myself who frequently searches the internet for videographer jobs and is in need of money, I know that even if I read such an ad, I'd politely decline and warn my fellow filmmaker friends to do the same. Now, if you were in my position and still accepted the offer, maybe you should stop watching this review just for a moment and stare at yourself in the mirror until you snap out of the idea of making easy money with such high risk. Aaron, played by writer-director Patrick Brice, arrives at the apartment in the middle of the woods to meet Joseph, played by Mark Duplass, for what is assured to be an easy day's filming. Joseph's not a shy human being, deciding to introduce himself by jumping at Aaron in what would be the first of many similar jump scares to follow.
Which is
Hi!
Oh,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm assuming you're Aaron.
Yeah.
Joseph, as it turns out, is dying of a brain tumour, and he'd like Aaron to film him for the day just so that he can leave a lasting memory for Joseph's unborn child, expecting not to live long enough to meet him. Now, at this stage, if you've bought into Joseph's story and believe that the movie's going to be a memorial journey of a dying man to his son, then remember that the movie's called Creep, then return to the mirror and be reminded again that you're a danger to yourself. It doesn't take very long for us to realise that there's more to Joseph than appears on the surface, largely because there is no surface. Joseph is worryingly open about all elements of his life, from the love of his angry-looking wolf mask that he affectionately nicknamed Peach Fuzz, to the confession that he once raped his own wife while wearing it. We're left to wonder that if Joseph is willing to tell us such incriminating pieces of information about himself, then what is it that he's hiding? That's the question the audience asks. Seeing as how a third of the movie has finished, we're expecting the true creep to emerge eventually and drive the following two to unsettling climax. Aaron, however, is not the audience. He doesn't know that there's still 60 minutes to fill. He's simply amidst this uncomfortable situation and is carefully trying to get out of there as soon as possible, having been spooked by what he believes to be the whole truth.
I don't want to die, Aaron. I don't want to... I don't want to die. Oh, Aaron.
The movie continues on showing Joseph to be determined to be involved in Aaron's life, using the fact that he's dying to beg for a friend in his final months. Again, this is all told from Aaron's point of view. With Aaron clearly not wanting anything to do with it, we get to see the disturbing resilience of Joseph in many scenes that prove that he's more than just a desperate man. He's in full control of his actions and clearly has more on his mind than just friendship, but still somehow manages to manipulate Aaron into thinking otherwise. Some might just say that Joseph is a master at tricking people, others would say that Aaron's an idiot for buying into it in the first place. This is when deception of cinema can distort our suspension of disbelief. We can sit here and say that it's unbelievable for Aaron to see the humanity behind Joseph's creepy actions, but we are aware that we're watching a movie and are expecting the worst to happen. The film is largely carried by a strong performance from Duplass, and why shouldn't it? He's one of only two people who appear on camera and the only interesting character of the two. Not to take anything away from Brice, but he didn't give his own character much to work with, except being scared or confused. Was the purpose of this to try and take a very real human being and put him in a bad situation with an obvious movie character? Was he trying to save money by writing an easy part for himself? Or am I looking into it too much? Probably the latter. After all, we only see things from Aaron's point of view, and he would only ever turn the camera on if the unsettling nature of the situation was on his mind. So it would make sense that we'd only see him in this frame of mind. You know, Many young found footage filmmakers could learn a thing or two from Brice by watching Creep, and remind themselves that characters and performances are what drives the movie, and to do away with all the silly gimmicks that seem to pollute what could evidently be a rather interesting new wave of film if those creating it had the patience to be, dare I say, creative in their approach, instead of going straight for the cheap thrills. Not to say they aren't present in Creep, but the movie doesn't rely on them to keep the audience engaged. Although the movie doesn't carry much in the way of subtlety, the performance from Duplass, an easy to relate to setting, is enough to draw you in and make you question how you'd react in the same situation. The main character may make a lot of stupid decisions, but despite its flaws, it's in no way a stupid movie. I'd recommend.